This time on Captain Castle's Laboratory, we're working on a Gemmy head in a globe. I took the globe off. Here's the globe, because it's freaking massive. Silver on the back, clear silver on the front. Anyway, this goes there, and it's huge, so I took it off in advance. It's a cam lock. You can see the teeth with a set screw. So save some time and save some space because, again, it's a really big globe and it wouldn't fit on the bench. So the problem with this head in a jar or globe is the mouth doesn't work. Anyway, so his mouth's not working. So I'm assuming that either the mechanism is broke or the motor's bad. So we're going to take a look at it, see if we can fix it. If not, I'll see if they want to try and get some parts for it. They bought it cheap at an estate sale. It still got the sticker on it. So we're going to see what we can do to make this head in a globe work again. I don't know what it's called. It just says Gemmy Industries on the bottom, so it doesn't tell me the name of this piece. So since it tells you your fortune, maybe it's fortune teller in a globe, or I don't know. But there's no screws on the bottom except for the one set screw that held the globe on. So I'm assuming everything is underneath this ring that we just unscrewed. Let's get the lights out of their holes. It might be, I can't see the viewfinder. This light's too bright. It's in my face. Rotate. There we go. And there's a circuitry, circuit board speaker. There's the sensor right up here. There's two sets of battery packs on the bottom of this. This thing runs at 9 volts DC. There's the motor that makes it move back and forth, which works. So how do we get the head off? Let's see. What do we have in the back here? Probably have to peel his head off, which is going to suck a little. It's got a seam that runs all the way up. They have it tied on with string right here. When I put it back on, it's going to have to be glued lightly. So here's what I'm saying. There's a seam. So let's see if there's anything under the seam. I see an access hole. One on this side. Yes. So we have to peel his face off. And it's got some epoxy spots on it. Fold your head forward. There we go. You don't see any screws. I just see epoxy everywhere. I think you guys, there's a hole there, there's a hole there. I can see the internals, and I can see the screw heads for the internals. I really think you have to remove his entire fake skin. So I'm going to use a spudger and see if I can get the epoxy or adhesive to break free. don't really have it like solidly glued. There's got little dabs here and there. Hot glue does wonders when you put this back together versus using hard glue like Gorilla or Super. That way you can work on it again because everything breaks. I'm going to use a flat scraper to see if this will make it a little easier. And let's get that out of there so it quits making noise. And there are the screws. There are screws that disassemble the head. You got to 1, I got to 2. I don't know how many more there are. Probably, I'm assuming 4. So there's probably a couple up top here. Yep, there's 3. So I just need to peel this side. If you're having a problem, just take your time and scrape it, because don't use heat. This rubber mask stuff melts really badly. Alright, so there's the back of the head, where I can get to the internal mechanisms by removing these 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's 8. There's also possibly 2 in the neck. Yep, 2 in the neck. They are Phillips. They are number 2s. There's 1. Well, a lot of these Gemmies, I find that when the jaw quits working, the actual jaw is broken. Skull Crane Electronics, or Animatronics, sorry. Skull Crane Animatronics. They do sell parts, and they do have 3D printed parts they make in-house to fix a lot of these. So, I'll link them below if you have any Gemmy products that you need parts or repair on. I don't do Gemmy that often. This is for a local haunted house, and since it's the first week of September, they're setting up. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing up and running before they open the week of Halloween. Actually, I guess it's technically the second week of September. I mean, this Friday is the 13th. I have no idea when the video is going up, but here. Alright, there's actually more screws at the very top, so there's 10. He's got a lot of circuitry for just a head that moves back and forth, and eyes and mouth. So it's got more circuitry than some of the big, like 6-foot tall versions. Every time I do this to a Gemmy, I think of the old movie Face Off, because I gotta peel half the face off just just to get into these things. Or in this case, we're going to do the whole thing. There we go. All right, so we got another big circuit board here. We have a smaller board here, which has some potted coils right there. And there's the motor, which that motor controls the mouth, it looks like. Yeah, the motor controls the eyes is right here. It's hard to see. I don't think you'll be able to see it at all. But the one that controls the mouth is actually located in the nose. You see him right over there. The mouth mechanism is intact. It's not broken. So, I'm wondering if the motor died or if the mechanism inside the motor housing died. Because there's actually a housing that encases the front of the motor, probably with gears or a belt. So how do we get that out without damaging anything? Probably have to take the rest of his face off. There's a little bit of adhesive on the bridge of his nose. Go. And there we go. So ain't that just freaky? As you're moving this around, it keeps moving his eyes, yeah. That's what he's seen iRobot. So it's kind of what he looks like, huh? And so that's the motor right there for the eyes. The motor for the mouth is right here. And we got this off. That's how the eyes work. There's your keyhole, as you can see. Here's the shaft. Once this gets put in the keyhole, this moves up and down, which makes the eyes move left and right. Very basic design. Most people won't recognize the design, but it's very similar to the design that makes your oscillating fan oscillate. So it uses an eccentric to move the eyes back and forth. Your oscillating fan in your house, as an example, if you have one, uses an eccentric, which makes the fan go back and forth. So I mean, this design has been around for a long, long time, and it works. I don't need those anymore. Alright, the motor is now separated from the face. Because I'm probably going to plug her back in and see if I can hear this motor. And now that it's not under tension, if the motor is weak, it'll move it and not try and move the jaw, which is not wedged in the pan. And there's nothing I can do about the volume. There is no volume knob on this thing, so when I turn it on, it's just loud. So. It did not come with an adapter, so I basically made one. It's even louder without the stuff on top of it. Holy smokes. That motor doesn't feel like it's moving at all, so it might be a bad motor or just not getting power to it. So now we're going to pull out a meter and we're going to see what the meter has to say. I guess I'll turn it so you can see it. Here we go. Here we go with the loudness again. It's motion and vibration sensitive. So we are getting power to the motor. The motor is either not spinning or it's spinning freely, and the pieces inside here are bad. I'm going to keep turning it off because it's really loud. There's nothing protecting the speaker, and it's pushing it this way because the face and neck covering is aimed towards me. Now, I don't want to separate the spring mechanism from the lips because it's really hard to put back on. So I'm going to do my best to avoid that. Apparently I need a really, really small screwdriver. Apparently that's too small. There we go. Now, because the lips have a spring assembly that makes them makes them work better with the up and down motion, so when the motor turns off, the springs pull the mouth back together so it's closed. There is a little play, meaning that you can move this and manipulate it because of the spring. Don't want to go too far, because once the spring is at its max, it's going to put pressure on the arms that control the upper and lower lips, and then you'll break those. I do know that you can get those from Skull Crane. That's just more work, because getting that coil spring put back on under the right tension is a pain. And that's 3 of the 4. Fourth one's going to be the hardest. You can unscrew the lips if you want to take the whole face off and pull the lips out the front. There's a lip screw on each side, but they have it super adhered on the lips. There's a lot more adhesive, and I don't want to tear them because that's the part that stares or points forward, and you're more likely to see it if you damage it. So I'll inconvenience myself a little bit just to help prevent any damage to the latex face. Okay, that's all the screws. And it looks like there's a little adhesive on it as well. There we go. It's either adhesive or grease, but it's sticky. Now I can see the mechanism. Now I'm going to turn her back on, and I'm going to see if the motor is spinning completely, because now I can see inside, and see if the motor's spinning or not. Motor is not spinning. So I'm going to go with a bad motor. Now it's going to be fun, because to get the motor out, the screws are on the inside, and I'm probably gonna have to remove the lips, which I really didn't want to. What I was doing with the other screwdriver was trying to spin the motor to see if it was stuck. So motors can get stuck if they're not used for long periods of time, which means the motor is stuck in one position, and once you kick it, it'll spin and work, and usually works forever at that point. But when they stay in one position, they oxidize into one position, especially on hobby motors, small motors with brushes. Okay, well, let me see if I can maneuver this to unscrew it from the lips from the inside. Now we don't have to take the lips off the outside and risk damaging the face. Let me get it on. One. That's going to be the easier of them. Maybe. And 2. There we go. Disassembly is always easier than reassembly, I'll tell you that. So this is the spring I'm fighting against right here. You can see it. So this is all pressed together, and the motor is not turning. So I'm going to go with the motor is bad, since I was getting 7 volts to the motor. Let's see if I can just unpress the side without the spring. No, that doesn't budge at all. I don't want to do this side. That side doesn't budge either. Okay. There's another option. The screws are basically, there's 2 flat dots right here. I don't know if you can see them. The screws are between the flat dots and the standoff, so if I drilled a hole here and here, I could run a screwdriver down inside and unscrew the motor. And I'm thinking that's the best way, because prying on this to lift it, these are the parts that normally break. So when you have a broken Gemmy with a mouth, you'll notice that if you open it up, either these arms break, some have 2 arms, some have 1 big arm, and that's usually the part that snaps. And I don't really want to keep prying on it to get it to unpress from this rod and have it break, because then I have to wait and get the part. Because it's under a lot of, the pins are usually really tightly pressed, because look at all, they got this big nice coil spring here, or squirrel spring, to give it the pull back motion. I mean, there's a lot of tension on it. And 2, if it's just the motor, the plastic housing with 2 extra holes, because there's already holes in the back right here. There's timing holes that go all the way through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 is in the second one from the bottom, and I can see inside. So it's not like it's a sealed box. And I'm thinking that might be the best way to do this, so that way I don't break anything. As far as the gears go, I'm going to spin them with the screwdriver and take a quick look at them. They all seem pretty good. The jaw is moving in my hand. If I keep going this way, the jaw goes down. As soon as I let go, it springs back up. So And I don't feel any clicking. I'm just checking to make sure this doesn't slide up on the shaft enough that I can pivot it out of the way before we drill some holes in here. Because you never know. Sometimes you can slide up on this bare section, but it looks like no, the hole is actually smaller than the shaft. So they're using the body as a stopper, so you can't push it on farther than it's supposed to be. Alright, what size screws are they? So I can figure out what size holes to make. And those are big motor screws. Holy smokes. Alrighty. Just going to start with what I have on the drill. Damn near perfect. What? That's two. Oh, that motor's full of grease. And there's the two screws. Those are large motor screws, a lot bigger than what you'd see like in Lee Max. I just need to get this gear back. Here we go. Had to get the gear back into its hole. Alright, so now that it's out, let's do one last turn on. Now it's spinning. Doesn't feel good though. The gear just broke off. That's cool. I didn't see any cracks in the gear. I was looking. it is cracked. Maybe the motor was turning, but it was turning where I couldn't hear it. And it was spinning the shaft when I was trying to spin the gear. That is a very, very small crack. But there is a lot of grease on this. I'm going to wipe this off. I think the only reason the grease may not have gotten into the motor is because there's only 2 holes for the screws. So using magnifiers, there is a fracture on the inside when I'm squeezing it, trying to make it show. And it doesn't go all the way down, but it's enough that didn't stay on the shaft when I put it under a load. Because this gear, there's no tension. Huh. So, like I was saying about skull crane and truck repair kit, these are the standard gears used in most Gemmys, and a lot of Lemax uses a couple of these. That's why I buy these gear kits. I don't do a lot of Gemmys. I'm not a Gemmy repair guy. I actually think Gemmys look cool in the stores, but they're not something I would own because they're such a pain to fix. This is I think it's a 10 tooth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a 10 tooth. So this would be one of these. Also, I don't have room to store them all. Exactly. See, this one, I actually have to press on because it's not cracked. So again, I'll link this below. Not this specific kit, but I'll link them below. That way you can acquire anything you want. They sell more than just stuff like that. Okay, now I need to put that gear back in again. And we gotta listen to this noise again. There we go. Squeeze it tight. Okay, this gives me a headache. Alrighty, well, I thought it was a bad motor. So this motor, even though I was holding it in my hand and squeezing, because I have to squeeze it in here so this one doesn't spin under the torque, and 2, it stays pressed into the next gear. I can't even tell this motor's turning. I can feel this moving back and forth, but this motor is very, very quiet with no feedback. Feedback meaning no vibrations. So that's why I was wrong when I assumed it was a bad motor. It was just spinning inside of the gear because the motor is like so perfectly balanced, which is very, very uncommon. Most motors give you some sort of vibration. Especially hobby motors are not the highest quality. So that's how you take it apart. Now I got to reverse all the steps to put it back together. It's been, 35 minutes of fun. I'm sure you don't want to see me do the next 30 minutes of reassembling this guy. So I'll pause it and bring it back at the end when it's all back together and it's functioning. I'll probably even pop her back in the globe. That way you can see what it looks like in the globe. Just remember the globe is like that big. It's huge. So, and I think I have those motors if it was bad. I don't have any shouldered versions. So, like I said, Gemmy probably has them. I have the squared body motors. This is called a step shoulder or a shoulder. There's a whole bunch of different names for it, but basically you see this step here. A lot of motors, this is the wrong style, but just so you know, a lot of motors don't, they're just over. Oh wait, I have one. Oh, here we go. I do have a shouldered motor right there. There we go. So I did have one. It's just not in my motor box. This I probably took out of a Gemmy that I tore apart for parts because it was shattered. But Skull Crane probably has these. If not, if it has a part number, which is stamped into the back, it's hard to see. This one is also stamped in the back, I believe. This one's even harder because it's underneath the capacitors. You can look them up online, or you can contact the animatronic parts company like Skull Crane. So, and I think that's my last shouldered motor I have, but in this size. So if it had a bad motor, I do have one left, but luckily it just had a broken gear, and I have, as you saw in that kit, several of those gears. So I'm going to return in just a moment. When I return, hopefully it's all back together. And again, because you're not going to see it, I'm just going to run a bead of hot glue and fold the seams over, and I'll probably put a little bead on the bridge of his nose like it had it before. The reason they do that is so when the mouth's moving up and down, the nose isn't crinkling like a puck. So, and I'm going to be fighting with this, getting this thing back in, because I got to fight with this spring to get it back into that lower jaw. So, anyhow, just reverse the process and use hot glue. If you're thinking you're never taking it apart, I would use Gorilla Glue, but I always want to use something that is easily removed and won't damage the latex mask. As you can see, they just had the adhesive here, and their adhesive is the same color as the mask. This peachish stuff. This is mask right here, but this right up here is whatever their adhesive is. The nose is the same way, so they probably use some sort of adhesive paste. I, again, just use hot glue. So, anyhow, I'll return. Okay, you can see this is the sticker I was talking about. They got it from a estate sale. Let's see how she works on her, or he works on her side here. Yeah, now you can't see the mouth. I'm going to turn it back off because, again, it's freaking loud, and you can see that the mouth works. So here's the bottom. You have off, sensor, mic. There is no volume in the speakers right here. Here's the feet. Now this cord sits higher than the feet, so it doesn't sit flush. It didn't come with a cord. I don't know how they made it fit in here without it lifting it. They sent it with a whole bunch of dead batteries, so it takes 8 batteries. Right, 1, 2, 6 batteries. Sorry. So the batteries weren't strong enough to make it turn on and work. They were all pretty low. So there you go, 9 volts DC, 1.2 amps, center hot, outer casing negative. The set screw goes in the back. It's right there. I haven't put it in yet, just in case I take the dome back off. It doesn't really stay because it is cracked. You can see the crack. So set screw might be useless unless I drill a new hole that goes into the plastic dome at a different location. But I guess for $18 in an estate sale, that's not too bad to get a Gemmy gypsy head. I don't know what you call it. My camera, though, is following the face. Look at that, making the whole screen move. Facial recognition. But anyway, hopefully this is educational to help you with any of your similar ones. There's the sensor I was talking about. You can see it better now. So if you have a dome style like this, take the dome off. You can see again how big it is. There's probably a set screw, and then it twists. This is cam locked in. Pop it off. Luckily the nose is just the bridge because there is no nose for the hard plastic for the tip. That's because when you lift this up, his nose goes flat to get his head out. Take the screws out of the ring. That way you have more slack. that collar that goes around his neck. You might pull the lights out so they don't get entangled. Then use a scraper, spudger, combination of the two to start breaking the adhesive. I don't use heat on these because, again, the latex will melt really fast and or brown. Ask me how I know. So just kind of peel it up slowly, carefully, take your time, work it. A little more here and there you won't notice, especially once you pull the hair back down. So if you accidentally cut a piece off, nobody's going to see it, especially in this one because it's silver. It's non-transparent, as you can see, whereas the front, you can see, and his hair goes all the way down to the back, as you can see, so you're not going to notice any damage. And that goes for the tall Gemmies too. Usually their hairline is pretty low on the neck. Most of the tall Gemmies, though, have staples or screws to help hold on the mask versus just an adhesive of some sort. This one does not. But I did put a screw in the base because even with the adhesive, it was curling. So I did put a little screw in the bottom of his neck where the mask and the black fabric meet, just like they do with the full-size Gemmies. Just there's nothing there, it's hollow. So just a small little drill a little hole, put a screw in. Just in case the adhesive separates, then you won't have to worry about the mask moving. Figure out what you need to disassemble, since this has 3 motors. You got the one that makes him go up and down, wobbles. You got the one that moves the eyes, and you got the one that moves the jaw. Check to see if you got voltage. You should have approximately 8 volts. It was 7 and change. Approximately is approximate because it's a 9-volt system, but there is a voltage drop to the motors. Depending on which motor, the voltage drop will be more severe because that determines its speed versus using a gear reduction and running them all at the same power. Gemmy's pretty good at that. Then figure out how to take it out. You'll notice there's screws in the back of the head, very common on all Gemmys. Pull it apart. This one had more circuitry than the other Gemmys I've worked on in the skull, but that's because the tall Gemmys use the circuitries in the chest as well as the head, and the heads usually pop off anyway, so there's just minor circuitry to make the eyes and mouth work. If the pieces are broken, Skull Crane Electronics, animatronics, I keep calling animatronics. You can get the rebuild kits. I buy a lot of stuff from them. If you've watched this long enough, I not only buy the rebuild kit, but I also buy, they have the new metal gears for some things, and the belts, and a lot of the stuff always show a little tab for when I take out the bag of belts. So I do use Skull Crane a lot because they're reasonably priced, they're based here in America, and they will make you parts if you send them the broken piece. And their fabricating fee is really, really low. And their belts. I love their belts. Their belts are a higher quality than getting the OEM belts from the different manufacturers, whether it be Limax, Department 56, Gemmy, or Mr. Christmas. I knew there was a 4th one. It's good to remember. So, once you find what you need to fix, whether it be a gear, belt, motor, that's about all you can replace, or maybe a broken wire you can resolder it. Oh, you can replace the lights in here, the LEDs. You can take those out and resolder new ones in. Fix it, and then just reverse your process. Same with all the Gemmys. Then, even though the camera wasn't on, as I was reassembling it, I was testing it because the motor bracket for the eyes fell out and his jaw fell off because I missed a screw hole. So, and if you keep the mask pulled down in the front, the foam on the cheeks, if you move the foam back, you can get to the jaw straight on and makes it way easier. I didn't notice that until I had the head sitting in this position. So you can get to the jaw screw, the ones that are right here in the front, very easy with the mask pulled down because you can go in from the cheek well, or if you have the motor fully extended, you can actually do it from the edges of the cheeks. There's a notch actually to run a screwdriver. It's probably how they assemble it. So, it would have been a little faster if I would have seen that when we took it apart. But other than that, there you go. This can go back to its owner, the new owner. So again, it was just sold. So that way they can put it in their display since, you know, Halloween is approaching at a rapid pace. Any questions, comments, whatever, put them below. Don't forget, I don't know when this is going up. I'm assuming before the end of the month. Then we're doing a countdown to Halloween. Every week we're giving away stuff until the week of Halloween. No purchase necessary. Just watch one of the videos. It says giveaway, countdown to Halloween giveaway, and follow. And it doesn't cost you anything, unless you have to be in the US though. Stay tuned for more repair videos and other random videos here and there that pop up, from taste testings to we're going to try and work on getting a few of the outdoor projects done this year that we started a couple years ago, but time and temperature delays everything. So anyway, that's it for whatever this piece is called, because there is absolutely no name anywhere on this bad boy other than it just says Gemmy Industries Corp, www.gemmy.com. It says it on both battery covers. That just says off sensor, so on. This is the FCC compliant. There's your power and your amperage draw, and that's it. So if you know the name of the piece, you can put in the comments below. I can update the title. But other than that, I'm sure this is the same. I've seen this similar one that had a female head in it, so I'm sure it's the same thing. Maybe one says Mr. Wizard and the other one says Gypsy. I don't know. But anyhow, thanks for watching. Till the next one.